So that's the Hyatt place for TCU visitors, for Texas Christian University. Don't know a whole lot about the theater department. I know that Texas Wesleyan always outshined them. And then there it is, Paschal, high school. There, Taylor Sheridan was a student there. I was a student there. Fred Robb, playwright, he was a student there. All probably Bob Reed's creative writing class. I wore a bow tie. It was uptight. He wrote a 1,000-page book called Redbird Blackbird, which is about the Civil War time miners coughing up black soot. He wrote it in third person and then first person. I was working on it while I was teaching the class. He got mad at me. He got in a few fights with me because I had one story that just whoosh, ended completely. He hated that. Many Russian writers have done that. No, I could not argue and get a word in edgewise. He said there wasn't a snowball chance in hell that he was going to get a good grade on that. And it didn't turn into a holdover situation because we didn't have that at Paschal. But it was kind of that, oh, yes, you can fail kind of thing. But I ended up passing, but I made my argument that I needed the highest GPA that impossible so that I could, I was about to go to college. I'm like, well, do you want this ending? It was a 10-page story. We're only required to write 5 pages. I wrote 10 pages in single line. It was practically a little novella that I turned in. It was far above and beyond what I was supposed to do. I just didn't have a sound ending. Didn't believe in it in that particular story. It was more about the beginning and going into the climax, and didn't want that. He wanted the 3-act structure or nothing at all. He was very, very upset with me. Never had a teacher get that mad in my life. I mean, he was yelling and screaming. And I was turning in like, shoot, listen, my one story that I did, it could have been published. It should have been. It was published in their vignette, but they had to edit the whole thing out because it was too long. It was like 20 pages, and we're only supposed to have a maximum of 5 pages. I turned in like 20 pages of this story called "The Sickness Will Not End in Death." It was a quote from the Bible, from John. And it was like a kind of a different version of Stephen King's Misery that I had read. And I wrote it joyfully and turned it in. And they all liked it. It had an ending. It had a beginning, it had a clear middle, it had a climax, it had a catharsis, it had a clear ending. That's what he wanted. He wanted clarity. We don't always get that. I'll just try this one with the no address. So yes, it's true. Bob Reed tried to fail me out when I was trying to get a perfect GPA, or I was trying to get that last senior year. I had to do very, very well if I decided I wanted to go to college, because I was a dropout. I dropped out of high school my sophomore year at Richland. I had to drop back in. I eventually dropped back in Halton, but had to leave Halton because of a gang situation. And then I found my way to Fort Worth because my mom moved here right by the TCU area. And I dropped back in, and then I graduated. But the only chance I had at college was through theater arts. There was no other chance. And I ended up getting a scholarship and going to a private school. I'm going to end up going to Texas Wesleyan. So that year was important. And man, I could have done a 5-page story with a great, beginning, middle, and end. I tried to talk to the guy, but he was just uptight. He was just yelling and just upset. I did have a girlfriend at the time. I did end up taking her to prom. This was a woman that I did want to, I'm not going to lie, I wanted to marry her. She was French Catholic. I'm kind of weak for that. But I ended up having to move on. Eventually, we both had to, because of my Protestant backing. But he was upset with me, and I was upset with him because I was like, hey, man, I got to bring my GPA up as high as I can, because I didn't have the highest GPA starting off freshman year. I did horrible. I didn't do so well my freshman year. I didn't do that great my sophomore year. So I went to North Richland Junior High for my freshman year. I went to Richland High School. I was asked to leave there eventually because of a zip code issue. Then I went to Halton. I wasn't doing, finally I came back in. It was like my chance to redeem myself eventually when I found the theater department. Because I came into the school with jet black hair, golf. I had creepers on. I hung out with punk rocks, even some skinhead people, neo-Nazi. Like, it was bad, and I had to get away from all that. And I wasn't hanging out with them because I supported what they did. They were just part of the punk scene, okay? And it was a bad thing. There was a kid that got shot in front of a 7-Eleven over here, not too far from here. He was shot in the stomach. He survived it, but he was shot in the stomach. It was horrible. My first girlfriend at Paschal was a punk rock chick. She had green hair. I had jet black hair. Once I found the theater department, I cleaned all that up. I didn't strip my hair, but I just grew it out and became almost preppy. Basically became a Smiths fan, like a Morrissey fan. But I got over that. I even got over kind of that, and I got very serious and thinking, hey, I might could be able to make a living telling a story. I'm still trying it today. It's 1993, and I'm still attempting to do it. But I found an avenue finally, and that's YouTube. So hey, that's just the way it works. But I cleaned up at Paschal, and my teacher Templin taught us. You know, he was a dancer that went into theater, and I mean, he taught us very well. When I go back and I think about the memory of theater, when I'm thinking about theater, the education in theater, his was a pretty good education. I mean, he took us out to Dallas to see plays. He took us to different theaters. We were getting a college education in high school. We'll just put it that way. He was a well-known teacher, a pretty famous teacher, and he left pretty famous too. And he even started his own theater in town. And yeah, you know, he did support the gay rights and did all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to make any comments about any of that other than that was just the way that it went. You know, it's not like it's uncommon to come across when you're in theater. It's something you have to deal with, especially if you're hetero. You just have to deal with it, and you know, you just have to be like, okay, that's your choice and everything. Everybody has choices and stuff. But it's a dynamic thing that you approach when you're dealing with your craft and storytelling. You're thinking more about your craft and storytelling than someone's political beliefs or stereotypical way of thinking or whatever. I don't think he was that way. It was something he would mention, but we were all on a peer level, like we were all kind of friends and stuff. But there was no like, look at this nut right here. What is he doing? This guy's playing Speed Racer. Let me see if he's gonna go by or whatever. That's fine. He's zooming through. It slowed down. But anyway, what I mean is that he was a teacher, but there was, you know, we knew that he went to bars and he talked about beer and he had guy friends. I mean, he wasn't quiet about it. And this was in public school in the early 1990s, but they called it the gay 90s. And Gus Van Sant was popular. Even if you were hetero, you still went out and said, you still would go out and see My Own Private Idaho, because it was like seeing Rebel Without a Cause. You know, it was a weird thing. It was a weird, the 1990s were very confusing. I mean, Kurt Cobain, who was married, talked about it too in his songs. And it was just something that people dealt with. Now, he ended up moving on as a teacher, but he always told me, don't go down that avenue of teaching. And there's been teachers that have been killed, you know, since then for being simply a teacher because of target practice by lunatics. And so I think I always safeguarded him. I did substitute for 6 years. I did teach for a semester, but I think I safeguarded me because I knew before I left for Hollywood, I knew if I become a teacher, then I'm probably going to be a teacher. And I'm going to have to deal with that. Meaning I'm going to have to take the money from either the state or the private school institution, and then that would be my career. The chances of me becoming an artist would probably be slim, but then Tennessee Williams was a teacher. Tennessee Williams was a teacher. Then he became one of the great playwrights that everyone, you know, regardless of their political beliefs or even their, I guess you can call it, we'll just say sexual beliefs or whatever, still honor as a legit playwright. You know what I mean? So there's a meeting ground on the theater that people have to kind of accept, and it's always like you can't always tell, you know, with people nowadays. But if you have a guy come up and say, "Oh, hi, my name's Mark. What's going on?" Then you know, it's always the guy's name's Mark. But you know, "Hi, my name's Mark," or Gary. You know, the guy, "My name's Gary. Hey, I really like that shirt." Well, then you know, and then you kind of step back and you're like, okay. So I dealt with that, you know, in college and stuff, but they knew I was still friends with, I would say, with gay people, you know, because in the theater, we talked about the craft. You could talk about the craft. So there was a meeting ground because still you're talking about artwork and you're still dealing with blah, 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 blah. But, you know, full on hetero. Great little song. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I see. The numbers go big. Okay. Got it now. They don't wave. That's the issue. At least it's not. It's they look, but they don't like, oh, it's over here. Well, maybe they don't need the pizza in the back. There is one way over there though. Trying to think. Oh yeah, I see it clearly now. They have it marked. Oh yeah, that is deep in there. Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, I see. So you can just look at. I see. Sometimes they'll just look at the vehicle or look like that guy right over there, but this is actually the one right here. He is still looking in this direction, but it's actually for over here. I wonder he can't find it. It's way down this way. Okay, now we're on the right track. Set up. They got hail protection and everything. It just hit me just now as I was seeing this. So I wrote this thing called Escape from Maine. I think it's a good screenplay. I'm gonna work on it more. Not now though. I want to do this little indie project and kind of get I want to know more about filmmaking before I really finish up Escape from Maine. But I have done a big chunk of it, and here's the idea. Paul Giovanni would be perfect for this one sequence. There's a character in it where the guy he meets is resemblance to Kurt Vonnegut. Now, here's the cool thing about the character is he wasn't Kurt Vonnegut. But in my mind, it was the ghost of Kurt Vonnegut. Anyway, this character that I met, and I mean, I was stranded and I had to drive down this, I was running out of gas, and my GPS was lost. I had an HTC merge because Gary Oldman was advertising them back in 2012. And I was just completely lost. And so I had stopped and asked for directions. And there was some lunatic had escaped from the nearby jail. It was a pharmacy robbery or something like that. The guys did not want to communicate with me. But as a cameo, I mean, this is a pretty cool little moment in the play. I think it'd be good for him maybe as a cameo, but I might bring him in for another character as well, because there's the owner. Well, not the owner, but the theater teacher or he's more like a theater director. He could come back like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing, you know, where the character comes back and you see him again. I don't know. I mean, like a Peter Sellers move, because you know Paul Giamatti's talented. I like the idea of using the same actor for different parts. Escape from Maine. I don't know. I'd have to think of some other characters too, because then there's also, and I haven't written it all yet, but I just thought that'd be good a role for him. Because the character has a thing about Kurt Vonnegut. You can play like a Kurt Vonnegut type of... Come on, just go this way. Anyway, you have to read Escape from Maine. All right, looks like another night of delivery. Got a big day tomorrow. We'll be doing some auto vlog. Got a big week this week right here. Our main goal this week is to get Linda's car inspected and registered. It's a 2009 Pontiac. This is gonna be a really interesting vlog. I gotta do a few things to it tomorrow. Nothing major, but it's gonna require a nice little auto vlog. We do include that in the Please Subscribe show, the Cole Spivey channel. All right. Now we're gonna head back to see Linda and Kitty.
You drove my car last. So this is your fault.
You asked me to.
Correct. For 30 minutes. So you drove my car last. But you don't know what a fucking...
Shh. Watch the F-bomb, okay? It's not Scott on tape. Let's go.
You're rolling that steer wheel over there. I smelled the paint today. Why were they doing that?
And you were saying about the gas. You want to get a gas tank lock?
I want to make sure that I know no damn sock in my damn fucking stuff.
We're definitely going to have the battery tested. For sure.
I feel like people are fucking us over.
Okay, watch the F-bomb because we're not in Scott and tape.
I'm talking about you, me, and a personal relationship.
I think maybe you might be a little bit paranoid. Possibly.
Come here.
What?
Do you want to smell the paint?
The paint?
Yes. They're welding off the wall 2 days ago before I went to my job. Right over here. Stop. That ain't
So it doesn't rust. Okay?
Yeah, sure. That's your opinion.
You don't
Me?
think it's going to rust over time?
Nosy. Do you know these contractors in apartments? They're not legal.
What? You don't know that.
Well, we don't know that either.
Why would we not
Keep
know
the
that?
analysts.
Well, I mean,
See what time
it could
to leave.
be. It could be something. Now, supposedly, what I've heard this. Okay, 2 people were murdered. The previous owner, who was George, told me about it.
Smell the paint.
They're supposed to give that information to anybody that enters, because for all we know, there could be ghosts.
Come on. I'll let you smell the paint. Be quiet. I'll get off. I know my investigation. Should be nice. Come on, sir. Something is happening. Shit. I feel it. It's unpleasant.
All right, we're dealing with a Pontiac G5, and the battery's in the trunk. We're going to need a 13mm socket. We're going to need a 10mm socket. One extender.
It made it worse.
And this thing. And I'm gonna use this too for the little. All right, and we're gonna get that puppy replaced tomorrow.